I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. Hey, we make a miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. We make a miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are.
We praise, we magnify your name. Oh God, you reign. Father, you reign on high. We praise, we magnify your name. Oh God, you reign. Father, you reign on high. Oh, 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 oh God, you reign. Father, you reign on high. Oh, 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 oh God, you reign. Father, you reign on high. Yeah, yeah. Bless the name of the Lord in here. We praise,
We magnify your
oh God, you reign. Father, you reign on high. Yeah. We praise, we magnify your name. Oh God, Father, you reign. We praise, we magnify worship. Hallelujah. Bless your name, Jesus. Oh God, you reign. Father, you reign on. Let me hear the church sing it. Oh, oh God, you reign. Father, you reign on high. Sing it again. Say, oh. Lift up a song of worship to Jesus. Oh God, you reign. Father, you reign on high.
Actually, we are not here to fight anyone. We're only here to settle the matter amicably. She said your son is the one responsible for the pregnancy. And that they were friends on campus. Am I talking? Bastard. Fool. Come out here and explain yourself to the house.
That's okay, sir. That's all right. All we need from her is to find out if actually that is the truth.
Come out and explain to them if we have been telling lies, or did you pick the pregnancy from the floor?
But that is not the issue, man. We need to hear from her mouth because we are seeing her for the first time.
Obìnrin, lẹ́nu ẹ. Seeing her for the first time. Are you no longer Bayo's mother? Hey! Have you not been sending for Juby to buy clothes for her? Now that she's pregnant for your son, you are not denying. If you fail to properly train your son, you shouldn't tell lies. So you want to tell lies to cover your son's shameless act.
Buy clothes for your daughter? What is the meaning of all these things you are saying? What is wrong with this woman?
Can you imagine? What are you saying? Do you want to beat me? Hey, nonsense! If you had trained your son properly, he would not have been eating what belongs to an elder. At this age of his. This tiny thing. Anyway, it is not your fault. See your life. Jubi, see yourself. Ọmọbìnrin ìbájọ́ ni. Look at you. Shameless girl.
I'm not responsible for this. She's lying.
She is lying.
We are just friends. She has a steady boyfriend, an army officer who rented an apartment for her outside the school. He beat me mercilessly the day I visited her.
Shut up! Stop telling lies!
I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I've never done this before. She lured me into it. Just that I did it just once.
Aha! You see? You see? Just that once is enough to father a child. So, you better stop all this your lies and face realities. Jumi has only one boyfriend in the campus. And that is you. Abi, Jumi, do you have anything to say to this?
He's the only one I have. He's telling lies. Dad, I live in the hostel. I want to visit me in the hostel.
I have visited you before.
Jimmy, why are you telling lies? Why are you deceiving your parents? You don't stay on campus and you know Bayo is not responsible for your pregnancy.
Who is this thing? What is your problem in this matter?
I wonder.
Is Jumi a small girl? That she's going to know who impregnated her? Please call your children to order. We are not here to play. We are not here to play. Oh. It is not enough. Allow me to talk sense into their head. If their parents refuse to train them, I know how I train my own children. No? When our senior sister had similar problem, I knew how I handled the matter.
I remember.
So, we know what to do. All we need is to settle amicably, if you are interested.
Excuse me, ma'am. I just want to clarify something.
Yes.
You said this is not your first experience?
Yes, of course. And I'm not ashamed of it. What is the big deal in that? Nothing. Anything like that is bound to happen.
Yes.
Especially when you have children that are friends.
Playing together.
Playing together. What is the big deal in that one? Let's solve this one. We are here to resolve this problem.
Actually, all what we are here for is for you to agree that your son is now a father in the making. Abi? And what your responsibilities will be in the upkeep of this lady that now carries your son's child. Something like monthly contributions. Lobata.
What's happening here? Why is that it? You're welcome. You're welcome. Please sit. Thank you. You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
What's going on? Why the silence?
Well, the girl's father is insisting on a monthly contribution and payment for his daughter's upkeep.
So sorry.
Well, that's what he wants.
Let me talk.
Okay.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, ma. Actually, we are sorry we came in late into the discussion, but then I had to drop by and get the family doctor, who, of course, is here to examine and confirm the pregnancy of your daughter.
What nonsense. What nonsense. Do you think we have come here to play a joke? After coming all the way from Abeokuta, Iyajumi?
I don't know. Or is the girl too small to know whether she's pregnant or not?
I wonder.
And who are you? You just came inside, you just put your mouth in the matter.
Well, actually, again, I am sorry, man. But then, the doctor has to examine your daughter and confirm the pregnancy or not. Because you can't just come in here and I assume that we have to accept as it is.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Man. So, how do you want it?
Oh, that's okay. We have a very well-known and respectable medical doctor here who knows what to do. Dr. Martins.
Good afternoon, Sirs and Mars. My name is Dr. Martins. I quite appreciate the fact that emotions are already running high, but you can rest assured the reason why we're here is to ensure peace and give assurance to all parties concerned as to who owns what. Hope you understand what I'm saying. To start with, may I meet the lady in question here?
Jubi! Where has she gone to?
Oh, I think she must have gone to the restroom.
Restroom? In which room is she resting? Is it a time to go and rest?
Rest. Once in new debut.
Osubio, what's the man now to know? Please go and call her for me at once from the room where she's resting. Tell her to come at once. Hey.
Tí ó bá débìrì báwo ni ó ṣe mọ́nú yàrá tí ó wọ̀?
Ó sì lọ sùn. Àbí kí ló ń pè rest?
Àwọn ìlànà oorun ni.
Kí ni they are calling me?
Gaba, my own mama, thank you for coming. You look beautiful this evening. I always say that to you. Papa, thank you so much for coming this evening.
Thank you so much.
Before we start the program, or before we zoom into today's topic, so we've been talking about dealing with long distance marriage or relationship, yeah? Dealing with long, like when you're with your partner and they go far from you, or even when you're dating and they go far from you. Dealing with that kind of things, dealing with long distance marriage. How do we go about it? Today we're going to be discussing that with my mama and my papa. But before we do that, before we go into the main program, let's say a word of prayer. Mama, please, can you give us the opening prayer, please?
Father, we thank you for tonight. We bless your holy name tonight. We invite you to come and take charge of our tonight's service. We pray that God bless every home that is listening to us. Let them be blessed. We appreciate you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Mama, thank you so much. Viewers, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate your time and your contribution and your comments, and your prayers and your support. We say God richly bless you. And then before we go into the program, or before we start the main program, I have here books from Apostle Gaba, and you can get all his books from Amazon, or you can call on +9715545 17229, and we'll deliver it to right onto your doorstep. Believe me, all his books are life-changing. I have here Positive and Foundation, and we have here also Understanding the Purpose of Marriage. Believe me, those who are planning to get married, or if you're already married, yeah, get this book and you're going to be blessed from it. Papa, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Today, the topic is dealing with long-distance marriage or relationship. So we would like to know, what is long-distance relationship or marriage?
Okay. Thank you so much, Sister Esther. Thank you so much for hosting us. It is always a blessing to be hosted by you, and also it is always a blessing to see Mommy with myself, addressing some of these very important questions. So, Mommy, thank you for availing your time. Thank you so much. And also, we want to thank our production team. This morning, it was not easy for Ella handling Zoom and Facebook at the same time. But we thank God for such a gift, and also those who are doing babysitting or want to acknowledge them. You know, sometimes I'm sure people hear the babies at the background, but all the same, we still have to do God's work. So thank you all for your participation and all that you are doing. We appreciate it. And so back again to the question our host asks, long distance relationship. Well, when it comes to long distance relationship, it is something that many people don't envisage. When I mean don't envisage, it's not something that anybody going to marriage or anybody who is planning to be in a relationship will wish for, to be in a long distance relationship. But sometimes circumstances and situations can arise where there is a need for separation in terms of either work or other very important stuff that may come up, for which reason the couple may be separated and they may have to endure they may have to endure being separated apart, and that is what brings about what we call the long distance relationship. Okay, so when we are talking about long distance relationship, what we are saying basically is people who are in a relationship, be it marriage or planning to get married, who are separated, you know, due to circumstances beyond their own control. You understand? For which reason they didn't plan it, but per the circumstances, they had to be separated from each other, and perhaps they will not be able to physically come into contact or in person or see themselves. And so when we are talking about long distance relationship, that's what we are basically talking about. Yeah.
Mommy, you have to say. People have said it's like you and the couple being separated. You guys are one is in Ghana and the other one is in US. You know, when that is what we call the long distance relationship.
Yeah.
And for me to say to a Christian, I don't think it's her part.
Remember, this question was for you. Are Christians allowed to be in a long distance relationship, or even if they're planning to get married? Are Christians allowed to be in long distance relationship, or someone who's planning to get married?
For marriage, I would say no. No. For marriage, I would say no. But for courting, if you guys are courting, are planning, I would say yes, because it helps you in sexual pervert, like you guys don't say
you don't meet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it helps you in that way. But for couples, I don't think it's good. Because for instance, for me, by the grace of God, through my husband traveling small, I've seen a lot of things here. And me, I can say that for Christian, it's not good. And it's not even helpful. You know, because your partner can be there, you don't know what he's doing. You think you are waiting for him or her to come. But at the end, you see that it can even happen that at the end, the two of you can break up. They break up because you don't feel, there's no feeling attached to.
So you end up going apart.
So going apart, yeah. So for me, it's not good.
Okay. Are Christians allowed in long distance
relationship?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say no. Neither would I want to say yes. The reason is that, you see, one thing about relationship, the reason I know where mommy is coming from, which I agree. Normally, as men of God or as pastors or as counselors, usually when couples come and they are now going to get married, and it's like we are getting married, but once we get married, one person is traveling for maybe 5 years or 10 years. That is where mommy is coming from. That one is a no-no, because how can we be getting married We are yet to get married. We are planning to get married. But immediately after marriage, my partner is going. And we are going to be apart for maybe 5 years or maybe 10 years. So in such circumstances, pastors or counselors may advise per their experiences. That's why she's talking about experiences. Some things are experiential. Because as she's saying, we have traveled and we are here. We've seen people who have traveled here and got married here. Even though they were married from where they were coming from. They were actually married though. But when they got here, because either the other partner was also married and was also separated from them, and maybe there were no communication going on as it used to and all that, finally they are dating here or they are married. And so what she's saying is that usually it is not advisable. Okay, it is not advisable. But what is important is that for a believer to decide whether you want to go into a distant relationship or not, the first scripture I will give you is in the book of Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5. In Proverbs 3 verse 5, the Bible says that trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not on your own understanding. And so if you want to go into any kind of relationship, be it, because the truth of the matter is that the reason why mommy is saying that long distance relationships are not advisable is because when you are going into marriage or you are going into relationship, the reason why they will tell you that it is not advisable is because, number one, when people even get together and they are courting and they even meet every day, usually even the time frame of day meeting every day, still there is a problem, and finally the marriage dissolves, even though they were even together, they were courting and they were together. You understand? Because even when you are seeing the person every day, how many minutes do you see the person? Because sometimes you are courting, the person is working, you are also working. And so sometimes within a day or two, you guys meet like only 2 hours or 3 hours. So if you compile it within a week, maybe 1 hour, that is 7 hours. And that 7 hours that you meet, okay, that 7 hours that you meet is still not even enough. And so if you are meeting, say, 7 hours in a day, and yet marriages still break up, where mommy is coming from is to say that even if 7 hours, people are meeting to talk, they are courting, and they still get married, and the marriage doesn't work. How much more if you are doing a long distance relationship and the two of you are apart? And so whether you are doing an in-person relationship or, because as I said, nobody enters into a relationship with the motive that I know my partner is going to travel and leave me behind. Nobody. But sometimes it could be in the courtship or in the marriage, and events may arise which may warrant that one person may have to travel, or the two of them may have to be apart. When that happens, that is why I said, rely not on your own understanding. So if it happens that you have to be separated, then if you are believers and you are Christians, it will be best for the two of you to go to God in prayer. Because if you lean on your own understanding, thinking that, okay, the woman is going to bring money. Because I work in an organization, I wouldn't mention the name, where people travel and leave their spouse. And in the organization I work, many marriages don't work. Those are the ones who they don't have the privilege of their wives, like mommy has followed me here. to go with them. Most of them, their marriages don't work. Some just have to compromise and be in it. You understand? For the sake of the job and whatever. And so what I'm saying is that most of the time, it is very important for you to seek the mind of God. Seek God's mind. Okay, God, an opportunity has come for my wife to travel. The money is good. The job is good. What is your purpose and your mind concerning it? Because if you lean on your own understanding and you look at the advantages of the travel and what the two of you are going to benefit as a result of the opportunity that may have come your way, then you may only realize later that even though you were chasing money, the money rather has collapsed the relationship and collapsed them. So all the time it is important that you seek God's mind. Don't lean on your understanding, because God understands. Circumstances may come that warrant that you should be separated because of, when I'm talking about separation, for the two of you to be in a distant relationship. And so when it happens, there are certain questions as a Christian you need to ask yourself. You see, there are questions that as a believer you need to ask yourself. Because if you cannot answer those questions you are asking yourself, then it means that don't go into it in the first place. That's what Mommy is saying, that don't go into it in the first place, because if you should know yourself as a couple, or you should know yourself as a partner, that for me I can endure, for me I cannot endure. That's why it is good to seek God's opinion. You understand? Because God knows the two of you better than you guys know yourself. So it is important that you ask yourself certain questions. And one of the first most questions you have to ask yourself is that, how long is this distant relationship? That's the first question. Because most distant relationship has to be temporal. The maximum should be 2 years. The minimum should be 6 months. The maximum. But even that, within that maximum I'm talking about, the two of you have to be meeting. Either one travels to meet the other person and the other person comes to meet. So how long is the long distance relationship? Because if the long distance relationship is more than 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, then it means that the relationship itself is not healthy. Do you understand? The relationship is not healthy. So therefore, the first question you have to ask yourself, if you are going to get married, and maybe in the courtship nothing like that came up, you didn't know, then an opportunity comes for your beloved, and one of you have to be the two of you have to be apart. The first question you have to ask yourself is, how long are we going to be separated? Because people think that a lot of times, even though we'll come to the pros and cons, but a lot of people think that when you are, some people cannot take it when they are separated. So there are some people who, when you are separated, they have more temptation. But some school of thought have also said that even when you are together as a husband and wife, the temptation is even more when you are separated. You understand what I'm saying? So it depends on the individual. So therefore, the first question you have to ask yourself, that's what I'm saying, you should know yourself. And have a discussion with your beloved or your fiancé or whoever, or if you are married, you have to discuss, how long is this relationship going to be apart? Is it for 1 year? Is it for 2 years? And the good news for those who are now going to get married is that, the good news is that if you are going to get married and the long distance relationship is more than going to be 3 years or 4 years, then as we keep saying, you have a choice to decide. You don't go into it and with the notion that you know it's going to be 5 years or 4 years. Then now you start murmuring and complaining that the man has abandoned you or the man has left you, because at least you were now entering, so you know whether it's good for you or not. But the problem is that I don't know about other places, but in Africa, we idolize traveling. So most of the time when the man or the woman is the one traveling, the person feels, okay, if he's traveling, there's gold in wherever he's going, so within 1 year or 2 years, coming to take me. And then you get to America or you get to London, and you notice that it is not easy to get the paper and the documents to even bring your spouse to America or bring your spouse to wherever you are. So some have gone thinking that, oh, I'm going to come back and take my wife. And 10 years, they are still hanging in there looking for their papers. They're still hanging in there looking for the documents. So when it happens that way, then it frustrates the marriage because the man is trying to bring the woman, but he doesn't have the paperwork. He doesn't have what it takes to be able to bring the woman or bring the man. And so it is always important that you have to ask yourself that question. For how long are we going to be apart? If you feel that it's going to be too long, then you opt out. But if it's a marriage, and you are already in a marriage, and maybe your husband gets a job, maybe in the UN or whatever, and he has to take a leave before you come in there, how long is he taking the leave before you come and all that? Is it going to take longer? So you look at all those factors, because as a believer, your salvation is very important. And you must always strive to be pure as a child of God. And so in striving to be pure, you have to ask yourself that question, whether can I be able as an individual to stay without this person for more than 2 years or 1 year? You understand? Can I fight that purity for more than 2 years? Can I fight it for more than 3 years? Because it has to do with your salvation. So you have to look at all those things before you decide. Then the second question you should ask yourself, especially if you are now going to marry the person, is that, is the person worth it? Because if you are dating somebody who is already cheating on you, and you are trying to manage the person, and now the person has to now travel and leave you, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it for me to wait for the person? Is it worth it in the first place for me to want to wait for this person who, even right before my very nose, is cheating on me, and I've caught the person red-handed several times, and now the person is now going to even travel and leave me? Do you understand what I'm saying? So is it worth it in the first place? Is it worth it for you to wait for that man? Is it worth it for you to also wait for that woman? The next one is that whatever you feel for the person, the kind of love you have for the person, which will want to make you to wait for the person, does the person also feel the same way towards you? Because love has to be reciprocal. It has to be mutual. So if the other party loves you so much that she's willing to wait, or he's willing to wait, does the other party also feel the same way towards me, to wait until I come? You understand? So all these things must be questions that you have to ask yourself. The next question is that you need to find out whether if your spirit is at peace. Because remember that as a child of God, you have the Holy Spirit that dwells in you. And there are ways that God communicates to us. There are ways that God talks to us. And so you need to find out whether, is my spirit at peace with this situation of the fact that we are going to be separated? If your spirit is not at peace, then you have to pray about it for the two of you to come to a compromise, and come to a consensus, so that if it means one person has to lose his job, or one person, because you are not feeling that peace within your heart that makes you feel comfortable that, oh, we can be apart for a while just to be able to solve issues because of the nature of our job or what we do. And so these are the questions that you should ask yourself as a child of God or as a believer. Because as for distant relationship, it happens. We've seen people who have fallen in love over Facebook. They met on Facebook, their love story started, they got married. Some have met on LinkedIn and other platforms, and they got married, and actually it has worked. In fact, there is a saying that I read a book which stated that there was a pastor years ago who will bring women from different places who they didn't know, you don't know the man. Then they will bring men. Then we'll put all of them together and ask the men to choose and the women to choose. And they will choose. And you will marry them that day. Now, a research was done and they even noticed that such marriages were even lasting than the ones where there's courtship, they eat together, they talk and the rest. And so sometimes the norm may be different because now times are changing. You understand? Where people are falling in love on Facebook, on Twitter and other platforms, and they've actually gemmed and the marriage they are still married. You understand? Some also have done that and it didn't work because sometimes the selfie, you ladies have a photo, whatever you guys, the Snapchat and the rest. So I think sometimes when the men see the Snapchat, I think the Snapchat changes you guys your color, and I hear there are softwares that can even edit the photo. And so when the men they finally see the women, they like, this is not what I get. They said this one there is Facebook. Oh. So when you are also looking at that angle, also you have to be very careful because it's not everything on social media that looks the way. Some are very artificial. I was telling you guys, I checked that there was this man who was going to get married. He got married actually. He married a lady, and they went on honeymoon. And when they got to the honeymoon, as the man was waiting, the woman had to change, and as he was changing, he took the bat off. I think there's a cushion that made her bat bigger, so she took it off, took the eyelashes. Then her eye looked like a cat's eye, gold eye. Then all the man saw was that the woman just put her eye there, took the gold eye, took all the eyelashes. Then the breast also, they put something on the breast that pumps the breast. So the woman took all off. As the guy was watching, he collapsed because he realized that was not what he bargained for. And so sometimes there are pros and cons about long distance, especially when you are, and we've had people, ladies, especially ladies who have fallen as victims, and they have been sometimes been duped online because of some of these long distance relationship and the rest, where sometimes the guy. So it is not bad, but you have to be careful. You have to be careful because there are fraudsters in the system. There are people who know that there are women who are desperate to get married, and they can take advantage of you and dupe you and take your money, all in the name of marriage. Because they know that once he starts talking about marriage, you will buy into the idea. And so, in as much as we are not condemning long distance relationship and maybe this social media and the rest, but you have to be extra careful. We've heard love stories that has happened through those channels where people actually got married, but you have to be extremely careful, and you have to be careful that you are hearing from God as God is the one directing you, because you can really make a mistake when it comes to those social media love and the rest. Because what you see there, I heard a story of a guy who the lady didn't know he was a short man, but he had a good personality. So the day they finally met, only for the lady to see that the man was around his knees. So the thing didn't work. You understand? Because sometimes the social media, whatever, there can be deception because you can't really see the person you are talking to and the rest. So it is important. So the question you ask is that why mommy said, you ask whether is it good for a Christian? That's why I will not say no, I will not say yes, because one of the things you need to understand is that now the dynamics of life is changing. It doesn't mean that the gospel has changed, but the dynamics of life is changing. People are finding love in very strange places nowadays. You understand what I'm saying? And so, when it comes to long distance relationship, that's what I'm saying, that if you're a believer and you're a Christian, don't lean on your own understanding.
Okay.
Ask the Lord for direction, whether you should go into it or not. Because sometimes the person loves you genuinely, and the person just got a job in the UN. And most international organizations, usually they will tell you, when did you get a job with the UN or arena or any big, immediately they don't tell you, even though it comes together with your family and your spouse, you will first have to take the lead. Then later your wife will join. And sometimes taking the lead can take 1 year. But the person loves you genuinely, what can you do about it? Will you say you are separating because as a believer you think that it's a no-no? The person will lose a big opportunity. And remember, whatever the two of you are doing together is for your future. You understand? But you should ask yourself these questions. So if you ask yourself all the questions I've asked, and you still feel that there's a need for you to be in a long distance relationship, then it's up to you. You understand? That's what I'm talking about. You should have some level of peace in your heart, that you know that, oh, this thing I'm entering it, I have peace. That's what I'm saying, that there are questions you have to ask yourself. Is it worth it? Because if you have been in a relationship with somebody, you know that the person can't control his libido or can't control himself, then you know that, oh, there's a history. You understand? So therefore, you are being careful to advise that no, it's a no-no. Do you understand? So what I'm saying is that, yes, when you are going into the long distance, some counselors will tell you that it is not advisable. That's where the position mom is coming from. Because you are young couples, you have to spend time together, get to know each other and the rest. But I'm saying that the dynamics of life is changing now. You understand? And so if you can answer these questions, how long? Is it for temporal? Just 6 months, 1 year that the two of you can endure and come back together and get to know yourselves better and all that. Then praise God.
Praise God.
Yes.
Mama, what are the advantages of long distance relationship or marriage? The advantages, yeah, of long distance marriage or relationship.
Yeah, I want to read a scripture to buttress what the point I was actually talking about in 1 Corinthians 7:9. Okay, Paul was saying something. Now, this is what he says. I say therefore, 1 Corinthians 7:9, I'll read it from verse 8. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them they abide even as I. It is good if you want to be a widow and be alone. It is good. As I abide, I. But if they cannot contain, if you feel that you cannot be alone, that's what I'm saying, that you should know your partner. If you feel that you cannot be alone, then for you, you know, even 1 year Christ said, no. You understand? So it says, I say therefore to be unmarried and the widows, if it is good for them, if they abide, even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn. So if it is better to marry than to burn, and you are entering into this marriage and within 2 years the person is off, then you should be able to advise yourself, because if you are married because you want to deal with burning, and now to the person too you are dealing with burning, you want to deal with burning while you are marrying. Now, let me say something which a lot of people don't understand when it comes to marriage. Marriage does not take away you being single. If you don't learn to enjoy your time as a single person, when you get married, you realize that you become more single than when you were single. And so it is rather even a privilege for you as a single person to make good time and enjoy your singlehood. Because marriage doesn't, one of the things a lot of people think is that if I get married, I'll be fulfilled. Marriage doesn't fulfill you. Marriage also does not fill the vacuum of emptiness. So you feel empty and you think that if somebody comes into my life, there will be no emptiness in me, or if somebody comes into my life, then I will feel fulfilled and I'll feel complete. Marriage doesn't make you complete, because until you begin to see yourself complete, even before you go into the marriage, still you will not be complete. And that is where a lot of people have problems. So they go into the marriage with an expectation that with the marriage, I'm going to be complete. I'll have my spouse with me all the time. I'll have my husband with me all the time. I'll have my wife with me all the time. Marriage is the only calculation that tells you 1 + 1 is 1. The two shall become one. So sometimes you can be in the marriage, your husband has traveled. There are people who are even in marriage, they feel more lonely than if they are not they were not even married. You understand what I'm saying? So if you don't learn how to be single, you will marry and you'll be disappointed. Do you understand that? And you say that I am even married, but I feel even more lonely than when I wasn't even married. You understand what I'm saying? So if you are getting married because you think that marriage will make you complete, then you are deceiving yourself. You must learn to be independent yourself before you get married. So much that if, for instance, I am getting married to, if I'm marrying mommy, I am independent so much that I can cook for myself. So if mommy is not around, I should be able to cook for myself. If she's not around, I should be able to wash for myself. I should be able to clean for myself. you understand? Yeah. And mommy will tell you, apart from her food, I hardly eat somebody's food. You know that yourself. Yeah, I hardly. Because I will cook myself. I like to do things on my own. You understand? So you should be able to be independent, that if your partner is not around, you don't feel that you are not complete. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if you don't have that sense of understanding marriage, that is where the problem begins, because you feel your partner always has to be around you. Do you understand what I'm saying? For you to be complete. So it is important for you to understand that as a couple, you understand? As a couple, there are advantages. And that was what you asked. Are there any advantages of long distance relationship? Yes. Let me give you some few advantages. Now, long distance relationship, as I said, the distance relationship, whether marriage or whatever, should not be too long. Should not be more than 2 years. As I said, maximum is 2 years. Minimum 6 months. So when we are talking about long distance relationship in Christian relationship, then we are talking about this 2 years maximum. Some even Christian counselors will tell you maximum 1 year. You understand what I'm saying? But the advantages of long distance is that it helps you to grow. It helps you to grow.
Both of you altogether.
Both of you. Mommy will tell me sometimes when we are apart, because of the nature of my work, you see that when I'm around, mommy will tell you, when I'm around, in quote, I'm like the small Jesus around. So no attack. So when I'm around, mommy doesn't sweat herself at all. But I am telling you that when I travel, even if it's for 1 month, sometimes I will call her a very weird hour. And I'm hearing Shadabaya, Kabaya, Kandana. You see the secret. So my staying away is making her to grow. Because this is my husband, the deliverance minister, the anointed man of God. If anointed man is in town, is in my room, why should I wake up and say I'm praying? You understand? I'm sleeping with the man on the same bed. The man that is casting out demons, and demons are afraid of him. Why should I worry myself? Do you understand? But when your partner is not around, it helps you to grow, to be able to mature and grow, and to be able to, not to be overly dependent on your partner. So even if your partner gives you something small, you're able to manage it because you know your partner is not around. You're able to, you don't rely on your partner, so you're able to grow. So if you are single and if you don't have children or whatever, you use that time wisely to get to build on your talent or skills by either going to school or reading or bettering yourself. Do you understand? So it is a shame if your partner comes back after maybe the 6 months or 1 year, and your partner feels that I left my spouse or my beloved and after 6 months, she's still the same way she is. No, because it should afford you an opportunity to really grow. Do you understand? To be able to grow in the relationship. Another advantage is that it helps you to know your partner. It tests your partner. The long distance relationships test the relationship. It's an advantage. It tests the relationship. Because you see, when the two of you are together, you can pretend to each other. I'm a pastor. I have seen pastors come around me. I pastor in Ghana. Then suddenly I'm supposed to travel. Suddenly, within 2-3 years, there are pastors whose attitude have changed, whose attitude wouldn't have changed if I'm still around, and I wouldn't still have known their true intention and character. But me being away, it has proven what is really in their hearts and who really they are. And the same thing applies when it comes to relationship. When it comes to relationship, when the two of you are apart, it tests the relationship. Then you will know whether what you feel for each other, is it really love or is just an infatuation? Do you understand? Because somebody can fall in love with you because he's seeing you all the time. But once he doesn't see you out of space, you are not around, he can see another woman or another man and fall in love. So if the person cannot see you and yet can wait for you 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, it has tested your love for each other. So it means that between the two of you, nothing can separate you because you have been apart. Your wife has seen other men. Maybe other men have even hit on her and she said no. You two other women have hit on you, you said no. So therefore, it has tested your love for each other. You understand what I'm saying? So long distance relationship, in as much as it is not advisable, one of the advantages is that it helps to really test your partner, test yourselves to know whether if truly you love each other. And when it comes to people who are now getting married, it helps because it helps, as Mommy was talking about, promiscuity, where because you are not seeing each other, it prevents the two of you from having sex and engaging in illicit affairs or illicit relationship and all that. So at least the separation helps. You understand what I'm going? You are apart. You see, And so one of the things I can say is that it has advantages. It has the disadvantages also. And the advantages are some of the ones that I'm mentioning. It helps you to test the relationship. It also helps to test your partner, to know the strength of your partner, to know whether if indeed the person really cares and the person really loves you or not. Do you understand? And have that respect for you enough. Because your level of communication is going to be tested. How do you communicate when the two of you are separated and are apart and all that? And so all these things are going to come into play. And so it helps. It helps. It helps for you to be able to, test each other's strength. It helps to be able to know the real intention in the heart of the person, whether the person really loves you or he's just, because somebody can see you and it's just infatuation because you are around. You understand? But after some months, the feeling just fades away. Then it tells you that that person does not really love you. You understand? I don't know if you have seen, somebody can see you and for 1 month is daydreaming about you. You go. After 2 months, 3 months, that is it. It has died out. You understand what I'm saying? So it helps. It helps. It has its advantages. It also has its disadvantages. Yeah.
Mama, you want something?
So, but for me, what I would say is the distant relationship is very difficult. It's very, very difficult. And as Papa said, if you have not been alone, you don't, as a lady, you don't know how to enjoy yourselves before you getting into the marriage. Yeah, you see that it's very, very difficult because how can you get married for some few, maybe 1 month, then after the 1 month, you guys got separated for 10 years or 5 years, you know. At least you need someone to talk to, you need someone to lean on, you know. But it's a test. Papa said it's a test.
So viewers, we're going for short commercial break, and whilst we're going for break, please you can start dropping your questions on the comment section. We're going for short commercial break. We'll be right back.
Actually, we are not here to fight anyone. We're only here to settle the matter amicably. She said your son is the one responsible for the pregnancy. And that they were friends on campus. Am I talking? Bastard. Fool. Come out here and explain yourself to the house.
That's okay, sir. That's all right. All we need from her is to find out if actually that is the truth.
Come out and explain to them if we have been telling lies, or did you pick the pregnancy from the floor?
But that is not the issue, man. We need to hear from her mouth because we are seeing her for the first time.
Obìnrin, lẹ́nu ẹ. Seeing her for the first time. Are you no longer Bayo's mother? Hey! Have you not been sending for Jumi to buy clothes for her? Now that she's pregnant for your son, you are not denying. If you fail to properly train your son, you shouldn't tell lies. So you want to tell lies to cover your son's shameless ass.
Buy clothes for your daughter? What is the meaning of all these things you are saying? What is wrong with this woman?
Can you imagine? What are you saying? Do you want to beat me? Hey, nonsense! If you had trained your son properly, he would not have been eating what belongs to an elder. At this age of his. This tiny thing. Anyway, it is not your fault. See your life. Jumi, see yourself. Obeni Bajoni. Look at you. Shameless girl.
I'm not responsible for this. She's lying. She is lying. We are just friends. She has a steady boyfriend, an army officer who rented an apartment for her outside the school. He beat me mercilessly the day I visited her.
Shut up! Stop telling lies!
I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I've never done this before. She lured me into it. Just that I did it just once.
What happened to you?
Aha! You see? Just that once is enough to father a child. So, you better stop all this your lies and face realities. Jumi has only one boyfriend in the campus. And that is you. Abi, Jumi, do you have anything to say to this?
He's the only one I have. He's telling lies. Dad, I live in the hostel. I haven't you visited me in the hostel
I have visited you before.
Jumi, why are you telling lies? Why are you deceiving your parents? You don't stay on campus and you know Bayo is not responsible for your pregnancy.
Who is this thing? What is your problem in this matter?
I wonder.
Is Jumi a small girl? That she's blind to know who who impregnated her. Please call your children to order. We are not here to play. We are not here to play. Oh. It is not enough. Allow me to talk sense into their heads. If their parents refuse to train them, I know how I train my own children. No? When our senior sister had similar problem, I knew how I had.
Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for your time and your patience. Welcome you again to the Family Life Travel Series. We're talking about dealing with long distance relationship and marriage. And I'm here with my papa, Pastor Gaba, and my mama, Sylvia Gaba. We're back again. Now, Papa, before we're talking about disadvantages and advantages.
Okay. So the advantages are the ones we have mentioned. The advantages are not too much, as I said. The reason why the long distance has been really, a lot of people have really criticized it, okay? And it's because of the more of the disadvantages, you see. Now, one of the disadvantages, you know, when it comes to long distance relationship is that you are not able to see each other. You see, you are not able to see each other. There can be pretense. You can pretend to each other, and you may not know that you are pretending because you can't see the person. You understand? So I can be on phone somewhere and I'm lying. I tell you I am in Abu Dhabi, but maybe I'm in Dubai. You understand? And so those things can be there. And sometimes also there could be issues of double standard, where one person may not be truthful to the other. So because of the long distance relationship and all that. Then also there could be issues of mistrust and judgmental comments and other things which may not be healthy for the relationship. Then you may have other third parties also who may be sending wrong information to either your husband or your wife, trying to say things which are not true, which can also bring confusion between the two of you. So there are advantages and there are disadvantages, but there are ways you can handle long distance relationships. Okay, there are ways you can handle it as a Christian. And that's what I'm saying, that nobody plans to go into long, it can happen. You understand? Nobody is planning his life and say, I am ready, I want to go into long distance. No. You understand? Circumstances and the dynamics of life can make one enter into a long distance relationship. Do you understand what I mean? Because, for instance, maybe the two of you are suffering so much, then this opportunity comes for this guy to travel and at least go and hustle and come. You understand? And maybe for 1 year or 2 year contract. Then you say, oh, because you don't believe in long distance relationship, you shouldn't go. Even that one, poverty can even make the two of you separate. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, there should be flexibility where you should be able to, compromise in some ways to be able to help each other. But there are things you can do, as I said, to be able to work out the long distance relationship. One of them is communication. You see. Now, you were asking a question behind the scenes that sometimes in Europe, America, and other places, the man or the woman may be arrested or something may happen for which reason the person may not be able to communicate, and the other person may read meanings that maybe he's not more interested. Yeah. Now, I believe that from the onset of the long distance, if you are communicating, you should be able to know. If you are communicating, you should be able to know. And so I remember one time, I nearly got arrested in Amsterdam for something I didn't do. Sometimes it can happen, sometimes personality conflicts. You can see somebody and you look alike to the person you can remember. And they were searching me like a cocaine dealer. I was like, They made me go naked. And some machine was going around me. I was going to the US that time. And the way the man was behaving, as if he really wanted me to go to jail that day. And so I started calling mommy. I called her like more than an hour. I didn't get her. I was worried. So what I'm trying to say is that if you are communicating with your spouse will know. So if you don't call your spouse in a day, your spouse should know that something is wrong. Do you understand? So when there is break in communication, that is where, even if something is happening to you, your spouse will not know because the two of you were not communicating even before you were arrested. You understand? So you have to communicate. Now, in the communication also, the two of you have to choose what type of communication. Because for instance, in the UAE here, for instance, it is not easy to use a WhatsApp to call somebody from Africa. It doesn't work, except maybe you are using a VPN to block whatever in order, which is illegal. You understand? But you can chat on WhatsApp. You cannot use TikTok came, not the normal, the one they use for whatever, but there was a TikTok, it came for calling. Then the UAE government blocked it. You understand? It was blocked. Now, when it was blocked, you can't call. You see, so the two of you have to agree on what type of communication are we going to communicate. Are we going to communicate by texting each other, or we would prefer to hear each other's voice? Now, if it has to do with communication, you also have to look at the strength of your spouse. Does he even have the credit to be able to buy credit and call you in the first place? So that if he doesn't call you, you don't get agitated and say, he doesn't love me now, that's why he doesn't call. Maybe the credit is expensive. The credit to call you is expensive. When I came to this country, before mommy came here, I had made call more than 10,000 dirham. What about somebody who cannot afford it? Later when I checked the call, because then I didn't know about prepaid and those things. So I just buy 100 dirham. They will talk like 1 hour. I will buy 200 dirham, 100 dirham, 200 dirham. By the time she finally came and I did the calculation, I spent more than almost 10,000 just on call. You understand? So therefore, you have to agree based on your spouse pocket and budget. So if he doesn't have the money and he works here as a laborer, or where he works in London or whatever, he doesn't have the money and it is WhatsApp, you agree on that. So you should agree on a particular means of talking. Then also, you don't expect your spouse to be in the office and be calling every 1 hour or 2 hours. So you have to agree that, okay, honey, or you are dating the person, when you wake up in the morning and you are going to the office, you call me. Then also you have to also consider the time difference. As we are here right now, it is almost getting to 8 p.m. in the UAE. It's 2 a.m. in Australia. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have to also consider the time difference. Then you have to agree on what time difference will be advisable for the two of you to be able to call each other. Because if you don't agree on all these things, your spouse may be calling you and you realize that he's calling at midnight. Maybe you are sleeping and the person will take offense and say, I called you, didn't pick my call. So you have to discuss the modus of operandi in your communication. Then after you agree also, then you can say, okay, in all the week, during weekends, we want to have a Zoom meeting or a WhatsApp call, whatever, where we can look at each other and chat maybe for 1 hour. You have to have time because your spouse is working. So it's not it's not going to be like, because it's a long distance, so you have to be overbearing. Every minute you have to call you every second. No, you have to have some boundaries. You understand what I'm saying? Because the person is working to bring money, is doing something for the two of you to survive. You understand? So you must demarcate all these things and agree that, okay, only on Sundays we'll spend 2 hours talking. 2 hours on Zoom, you and I alone, at this time to talk. Then during the course of the week, we'll text. Or I'll just call, honey, how are you? How are the children? That is it. Every day at least I'll call twice, morning and evening. Morning, evening. But on Sundays, we'll spend 1 hour in talking, you and I, and check up on the children, so I can see them, we chat and then. So you have, you've discussed on how you want to communicate. You understand? So that the two of you, one person doesn't become overbearing. So where are you? Where are you working to?
Suspicious.
You understand? When it happens that way, it makes the relationship very unhealthy because remember, the person is also there for a purpose, you see. So communication is important, okay? Then also, you need to understand that when it comes to relationship or long distance relationship, one of the ways that you can make it work, apart from communication, okay, is not to be judgmental. When I'm talking about not being judgmental, I'm saying that sometimes, because you are human, you see, you are human, you are not 100%. So definitely, as your wife or your partner, your beloved, you guys are separated, you are, you know, in a long distance relationship. Sometimes the devil can come to you and say, you cry, you are here. Do you know what your husband is doing? Do you know what your wife is doing? Do you understand what I'm saying? So those thoughts can come into your mind that can make you become judgmental. You are thinking, you are assuming, when is with another woman, or when is with another man, or you understand? And so that can also breed some jealousy and other things, which will be unhealthy. You understand what I'm saying? Because then you begin to exaggerate. So with a little thing, you hear maybe your wife is watching a movie and maybe there's a male voice at the background. Say, I'm hearing some voice at the background. It looks like a male's voice. Who is there? So then you begin to exaggerate. Or maybe your husband is watching some movie and some film, and maybe in the film there's maybe a sex scene or something. Then somebody says, hey, your wife is, I'm hearing somebody moaning. Honey, who is that? You take a picture, you go around the house, then you see the entire house. You understand that? It begins to bring suspicion, you see. And so it is also, so when you are in a relationship and you decide, because that one is your decision, nobody has put a gun on you, so you have to stay positive. Stay positive that my beloved is not cheating on me, and I also am not cheating on her. Stay positive. Think that way. Or else if you think negative all the time, you'll be there and your heart will be palpitating. You understand? Which will also not be healthy. You see, which also not be healthy. You see. Then the next one is that when you are in the relationship, a long distance relationship, depend on the time. If it's like 3 months, it's okay. At least your spouse or your partner doesn't have to come and join you. 3 months you can manage, then he comes. 6 months, some can also manage, but some will say 6 months even is too much. So within the 6 months, one may want to go and visit, at least even if it's for a day or two, just to come back. So it is advisable that when you are in a long distance relationship, no matter whatever, especially if it's going to be like a year, at least once in a year or twice in a year, depending on your finance, because some people may stay very far, some may be staying in China, Australia, which is too far. So you can't, but make it an effort to meet in person at least once in a year. It helps. Because when you plan it that way, and the two of you have an expectation that in the month of August we are going to meet, though we are in a long, or in the month of July we are going to meet, that expectation alone stirs up the marriage. It stirs up the relationship. It makes the couple, they feel they have something to look up to. I'm waiting, I can't wait. So the person is always looking out that, counting the days, the month, that on this day we are going to meet. Do you understand what I'm saying? So as you are chatting, I can't wait for this day, and I know we are going to meet very soon. So it also helps. Because if you don't have such expectation, it means that the marriage will be dying, because there is no expectation that you are going to meet. So the person say, 5 years, I'm going to wait 5 years, I'm going to wait 2 years. So when it happens that way, the marriage or the relationship start to die. Because what makes you go and come, like for instance, when I wake up in the morning, what makes me go out there to break my back is that I see my wife and children, and I know that I have to work hard so that I can feed them and take care of them. So that edges me, even when I'm even tired, that I want to work hard. Do you understand? To be able to pay my children's school fees and take care of them, even when I'm tired. The same thing applies that Even when men are hitting on you or women are hitting on you, because you have an expectation that all this hitting, they are hitting on me, but I know I'm going to meet my wife in November. I know I'm going to meet my husband in August. So let me just endure and wait till August and go and meet my wife or meet my spouse or meet. You understand what I'm saying? So it also helps. You understand? So it also helps. Then in your communication, it is always good to remind each other of the love that you feel for yourselves. So when you are communicating, it's good to sometimes reaffirm love to each other, because it's a long distance thing. So if you are feeling insecure, there's nothing wrong to ask your partner, oh honey, I hope you love me, pal, because I am really counting on you. You know, there's nothing wrong. Oh, honey, you know I love you so much. I love you. I'm so saddened that we are worlds apart, but I know that very soon we're going to come together again. And I love you and all that. You reaffirm your love to each other. It goes. It helps to bring the bond together in the long distance relationship. That's why, especially when you are somebody who is in a long distance relationship, there are some love apps, Christian love apps, which helps. If you are not somebody who is very good in framing love words, like some of us who are villagers, you know, you can get those apps. They will send you early morning text messages that you can send to your spouse to always remind him or her of the love you have for her and all that. It also helps, you know, because when you are able to reaffirm to the person, it bridges the gap of insecurity. You understand? It bridges the gap of insecurity. It bridges the gap of jealousy. It bridges the gap of doubts. Because all the time you are reaffirming to the person that, oh, I love you, but just that work or other things may have, you know, kept us apart. You see, and so it is very important. Then also, one of the things that helps in long-distance relationship is the growth on the part of your partner. Do you know that one of the things that make your partner to love you is always not to come and see you the same way you are? I'm telling you, it's a secret I'm teaching women and even men. If somebody is dating you and you are in a long relationship, you make use of the long relationship so that by the time the person comes, build on yourself. It brings even more love. Because if I left my wife, we are long distance, and I come back and her level of IQ, things have changed. Wow, it's good though. You see that it brings the two of you more even together. Because remember, as you are separated and you are together, your husband may have seen other ladies who may be eloquent or intelligent or whatever. You understand? So he comes back and sees that his wife has improved. His mother has also improved. You see that it bonds the two of you even more together. So it is always good that a long distance relationship bridge the gap. If your husband loves politics, if he loves politics, read about politics so that when you are conversing with him, you can talk something he likes. Oh, did you hear about what is happening in London? Did you hear about the Arab Springs? So he's, is that my wife talking? So you are engaging him and he's like, So, or maybe he's a football fan. Maybe you don't like football, but because it's a long distance, you guys have to talk. You say, oh, have you seen that Manchester player is very serious. Oh, hey, then he start talking with you like, only when did you start loving him? I have to. You see, so it bonds the two of you. It brings the two of you together even the more. You understand? It helps. It helps in the long distance relationship. Then find a way, as I said, to be able to bond. Mommy, if you want to come in, just let me know. Find a way to bond. So there are so many platforms of social media. LinkedIn is there. Facebook is there. Twitter is there. Find a way. Now we have Zoom. We have Discord. There are so many apps that the two of you can bond. There are apps that you can even know where your wife is. You can know where your husband is. And don't, you see, be some kind of intruder. Don't just be there as I don't care. Check your husband's or your beloved's Facebook sometimes to see what is going on his Facebook. Check your wife. It's not that you are being insecure, but you want to know what is happening in his life. You understand? Because we're in a long distance relationship. That's how you get to, because you are not talking, you are not seeing yourself much. So through there you can also know yourselves. And so find a way you can hang together, share your experiences together, even though you are in a long distance relationship. Oh, honey, how did your day go? Or as you are talking maybe for that 1 hour, how was the week? How was the children in their studies? How are things going? You see, you are talking, even though you are not meeting one-on-one together. You understand what I'm saying? So it also helps. You see, then when issues also crop up in the relationship, even though you are long distance, sometimes conflict will come up. Learn how to solve conflict even though you are not seeing yourself one-on-one. Find a way of solving conflict. Sometimes in a long distance relationship, when one couple gets angry with the other, sometimes the other couple will block the other couple. You understand? And when you do that also, it doesn't help. You understand what I'm saying? So in the conflict, help find a way, even if you have conflict, find a way of solving it. You understand? Find a way of solving. Then also learn to focus on the positives of the long distance relationship. Because if you focus on only the negatives of the long distance relationship, you will not enjoy the long distance relationship. You'll break up. But focus on the positives. The positives. Then respect the reason why you are apart. You are apart because you want to build a future for yourselves. Maybe something temporary, but it's going to help you in the long run. You understand? Because any relationship that you are going to be long distance means that you are sacrificing, because in the long run it's going to help the two of you, the couple. So therefore, respect each other for the sacrifice the two of you are doing. So the woman doesn't cheat on the man too doesn't cheat, because you respect yourself and you know that I am sacrificing for this purpose. That is why we are willing to be apart. Do you understand what I'm saying? Then also, as I said, see it as an opportunity to grow. Stay honest with each other. Be honest with each other. You see, in the relationship, be honest with each other. Then, because it's a long distance relationship, always know the schedule of your partner. Oh, my partner goes to work at 9. From 9 to 1 o'clock is on break. At 12:30 is on break, 1 hour. From 12:30, 1 hour break. He works out, sometimes he closes at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. So you know the schedule of your partner. So you know when and what time to call your partner and to check up on your partner, because you know the schedule of your partner. So it is always good to also know the schedule of your partner, and based on the schedule of the partner, you'll be able to. So it's always good to know the schedule of your wife, know the schedule of your beloved, so that you can be able to track. You see, then long distance relationships also helps when you are able to give gifts to each other, something that you can use as memories to always remind the person of you, even your absence. A souvenir. So me, for instance, because I travel a lot, I used to buy teddy bears for, if you can remember, mommy. You understand? Teddy bears, so that at least when she's sleeping, she puts the teddy bear in her armpit to always remind her of me. You understand what I'm saying? Or maybe something she can remember me for. So gifts also helps. Gifts also helps. So you can give yourself gifts. I think, mommy, you can come in.
Okay, thank you. Disadvantages, right? Yeah, like what Papa said, lack of trust. You know, it's also happened that when you guys are far, sometimes it's happened that there's been a little lack of trust, and also communication. You know, communication must be the key in every relationship. So when there is lack of communication, it doesn't help. So it is very important that you find a way. Even if you don't know the means to talk to your partner, you have to find a way to have that communication, to have that communication, because lack of communication, it destroys the relationship, the beauty of it. So it's very important that you have to work, and even before your partner, you guys got separated, there should be communication. You see, it should be you guys can tease each other in a way that even when your spouse called you, you don't have anything to say, you have something to play, so all these things also help. So you have to, and also it's, let me say, like, some of the disadvantages also is, if you are a person, you can't stay pure. You can't stay pure. Like, you don't know how to fight your sexual
desires.
Desires. And you guys, that moment, I think, you have to, you as a person, you have to deal with yours. Don't be watching things that will bring your desire so high, that when you are even there, you feel like doing things that is not good. So as a person, you have to be
controlling your emotional
needs. You have to be strong. You have to be strong. And even when you know that you can't control it, when you are talking to your spouse, your mind should not go there.
Yeah.
Your mind should not go there. Yeah, because he is not around.
So that brings us to the issue of setting boundaries, as Mommy said. Mommy will tell you, anytime we are apart, even she wants to raise anything has to do with sex, sometimes I'll tell her, no, don't even talk about it, I'm not there. You understand? So most of the time, one of the things I can say is that set boundaries. Even if you are you are courting, are yet to get married, you have to set boundaries as to what you can discuss and what you cannot discuss, and at what hour or time that your person can call you for you to talk, and for how long. There must be all these boundaries set. You understand? So that at the end of the day, you can be able to be pure. Because as for the temptations, they will come. You understand? So that's why Mommy is saying that it is always good that you try not to watch maybe movies or maybe pornography and the rest for you to be aroused, and that may push you to maybe want to experience even though your wife is not around. You understand? And so it is always good that you that brings us to the issue of another way you can is to be able to be open up to your partner. Be open up to your partner some of the challenges you feel you are facing in the long distance. Do you understand that? Okay, I'm having challenges with A, B, C, D, and so maybe I need help. You understand? Because sometimes if you don't open up to your partner may not know. Because one thing about relationship or marriage is that the two of you may not be the same. One person may have a strong desire for sexual drive and the other may not. You understand what I'm saying? So if the other person has that weakness, then the two of you should find a way of trying to, help each other. You understand? Come to a compromise or understanding, even in the long distance. And this one I'm talking about married couples, not even single. For singles, they are not even married, so purity must be the agenda. But I'm talking about couples that are married. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because most of the time, if you look at soldiers who go out on missions and the rest, some of them have children. If you look at Liberia, some of them have children in Liberia, where in Somalia, other places where they've been posted to. Even in my field of work, there are officers who have been to other countries, they have children there and the rest. You understand? But what is important is that, as I said, what is important is that the two of you must know what you want. What is the vision? What is the purpose for you being apart? That is what is important. And the ability that you are willing to respect each other, that okay, the two of us are willing to sacrifice, so I'm willing to also sacrifice so that we can achieve that purpose for which we are being separated from each other. You understand? And so when we say that, if you know you are, for instance, one of my hobbies, which is not a good one, is watching a lot of television. So Esther will tell you, I can lock myself in and watching my TV programs and the rest. So if you know your strength, you don't go anywhere. You stay in your room or your house and watch your TV and eat your popcorn. So you don't go out. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because what the eyes doesn't see. You see, so once your eyes is not seeing, you are at home, your eyes is not seeing it. And so it is always advisable, even at that cry, even still the temptation will come. So you have to be poised, you have to make up your mind that that's what I'm saying, the two of you have to know what you really want. Because what you really need, because what you want can be different from what you need. What you really need, why you are being apart. You see, so that you don't bring your mind to certain things and fall as a prey. It's very important.
So I would like to ask, how can couples deal with long distance marriage?
How can they deal with it? I just mentioned most of them, like communicating all the time, trusting each other, finding a way of meeting once in a while, and finding a way of resolving their differences and conflict, and all that, and knowing what they want from each other, keeping track of each other, being open up to each other, being honest to each other, and all that. Once all the points I mentioned, once they're able to do all these things, then they can be able to manage the long distance relationship and still come back after maybe that 1 year or 2 years. And it's not going to be 100%. Even when you are together with the person, it's still not 100%. But at least you have been able to manage it in a way that at least you come back and the marriage is still intact. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes.
If you want, please, you can start dropping your questions. Okay, get rolling. You can start asking all your questions, and I promise to answer any question that you have to ask them. Okay. So, Mama, I would like to ask, for how long can one or a person or someone be in a relationship for this long distance? For how long?
Maximum is 2 years.
So you put all of them together, okay.
Minimum should be 6 months. Maximum 2 years. Some, maybe mommy she will say 1 year, but some, according to seasoned counselors, they'll tell you 2 years at most, because some jobs, most of them is 2 years contract. You understand? So the money is huge. Many of the top organizations here, like Arena, that pays over say 50,000 dirham and all that, most of the time is 2 years contract. You understand? And susceptible to renewal. So if your spouse get that kind of job, most of the time it will be 2 years. But I say even that one, they allow you to bring your spouse and the rest, but maybe the person may take a lead of say 6 months or 1 year before the person joins him or her. And so in such situations, it can happen.
Okay, so Papa or Mama, what if you're in this long marriage, okay, then one of you will end up having family, like a different family. You're far from yourself, yeah, and then you meet someone, like you're having an affair, and then something like you end up having babies or kids with them, and then one of you got to know. What can you do about that, or how will you work that out?
That's why I'm saying that. Okay, maybe you can come in.
For example, I'm married and I'm here in UAE. My husband is in Ghana. Maybe I meet a guy here, or my husband meets someone back home. Then they have an affair, and then they have kids. How can we work that out?
That one, I think, it depends on the two of you to talk it and see the way you guys want is whether you forgive your husband and take the child back, because to me it's like lack of trust.
Yeah.
You know, the love I have for you, maybe you don't love me that much. That's why you're able to go and have child with another woman. And sometimes it's also lack of control, you know, your sexual perversive, you know. You can't control your that's what Papa is saying, that it's very important the two of you have to sit down and discuss it. You know, if you know that your spouse, this is his weakness, you make sure that you don't allow her to go. You get me? You don't allow her to go, because yes, like Papa said, money is good, but money is not everything. If God is going to judge you, God is not going to judge you about the money that you have. You know, so it's very, very important. For me, I would say that the two of you have to sit down and if you can forgive the man and then...
Well, that's why I'm saying that it is always good to resolve your issues. Sometimes it is not even long distance relationship that makes somebody give birth outside marriage. People have been together, and yet a woman comes and says your husband has impregnated. This one is not even long distance. So it is not long distance that makes a man want to cheat or a woman wants to cheat. You understand? Recently I was watching a video of a lady who, the daughter was even 3 years old. Only for the man did a DNA and realized that the child wasn't his. On the 3rd birthday, and presented as a gift to the mother and told the mother that by the end of the month, he wanted her and the daughter out of the house. You understand? So it's not necessarily long distance relationship that makes someone to cheat for a child to come. You see, if the person would cheat, he would cheat. It's not whether a long distance or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? One of the things I have also, if I want to be very practical, is that what I'm saying is that when you are, both of you are long distance, because it's a test of your relationship, you try to resolve your issues as quickly as possible and don't take each other for granted. You understand? Because you may not know the temptation your partner may be going through. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. And you may not know the temptation your wife may be going through or the temptation your husband may be going through. You see? And most of the time in a long distance relationship, okay, in a very long distance relationship, usually one person has more to gain than the other person. So that's why I'm saying that you have to pray more to ask God's direction. You see, so most of the time, if let me give an example. If, for instance, the man cheated on the wife and maybe a child comes out of it, number one, it's up to the woman to decide whether she wants to still continue in the relationship. But if the person is a Christian, he has to consider what are the factors that even brought this woman to cheat in the first place and talk it out. You understand what I'm saying? So most of the time, that's what mommy is saying, that if it is not God direct, because God will not start something he will not finish. So if you don't seek, you don't do things on your own understanding, and you do it by the leadings of God, most of the time God will be the one to direct your step. God will be the one to deliver your spouse from that temptation. You will deliver him because he is in it. But if God is not in it, that is what makes it difficult, because God is not in it. You didn't see God's face before you went into it. So most of the, I have had cases where I've met a lady, she went on post, and she came back after say 3 years, shortly but down, and the husband's girlfriend was calling the husband. So she picked the call, And the woman asked, "Who are you?" And she said, "Oh, I am so and so. I'm your husband's girlfriend." Then she tells the lady, "Don't worry. I'm here on a short break, like 2 months. I'll go so that you can still be in charge." Now, such situation is very difficult because at that level, she feels she has come to a compromise that this woman, I am not there for this man. I'm also not willing to lose my job to come and take care of this man. Because sometimes if the man, because that's what I'm saying, that you have to look at two positions. You are a man, you are a woman. The two of you have to, that's why long distance, it should be an agreement between the two of you to decide on what you really want and what you really need, why you feel that you should separate. And once you decide on that, you should be able to respect that boundary. That this is what we came to an understanding. This is what we thought that it will help the two of us. And for that reason, we are apart.
But I have a question from one of the viewers. Someone
Yes.
asked, is it normal for couples to have sex on phone, like video calls, to have sex on phones?
You see, one thing about we Christians is that sometimes Christians, we tend to sometimes over spiritualize things. Now let me say this. One time, one lady called me some time ago and was talking about oral sex, whether if it is advisable for Christians to have oral sex. Now, one of the things you